Hey y'all, we're Jimmy and Lisa with Find Us Camping.
Today, we're at the Thousand Trails RV Resort in Williamsburg, Virginia, to bring you another featured campground tour from camperreport.com. Most Thousand Trails campgrounds are gated communities, so we're going to pull up here and let ourselves into the gate. Every member is given either a gate code, or some parks have a gate card that you just swipe. Either way, you have to use your code or your card to get into the park. So when you get to the gate to check in, you're gonna push the button. It's gonna call the front office. They're gonna direct you to come on in. They're gonna open the gate for you, and you're gonna pull through and follow the signs to the office.
We're going to show you the trip all the way up there to the office, so you'll see what we see as we're driving through here. So it is a little tight getting around here to the office. There's a couple trees that you'll see as we're making the turn right up here. There is some trees on the corner, and there is sometimes cars and campers on the corner, so you got to be a little careful coming in. So here's where you'll make your turn to the office. There's the sign. As you see, it gets a little bit narrow through here. But here's where the office is, and you will park right about here and walk into the office to check in.
So this is the office area, the way you would enter for check-in. They do have a couple picnic tables out here in the shade, and then they have another table and umbrella up by the membership sales office. This area is always very well kept, well landscaped. The fish in the pond died a few months ago, but they are putting more fish back in there. And then immediately to your right is where the laundry facility is. It is $2 per load, whether you wash or dry, and you can either pay with change, or they have an app that you can download to your phone and load money on it, and you just scan the machine that you're on and pay from your phone. So this is the check-in area. The bathrooms and the showers. This again is the bathroom and shower area that is closest to the pool. So if you want to shower off after going for a swim, this would be the place to do it. This is also the closest bathhouse to the tent section. So if you needed to run to the bathroom in the middle of the night, this would be where you'd come. Now we're going to head down to the indoor pool. I don't think we'll be able to get into that, but we can at least look through the window. So still under construction, but this is going to be the member lounge. And this area is typically, when it's not under construction, the area where they do bingo and games for the kids on the weekends. And this is going to be the sales office. They do have a small kitchen. And then this is another area that once construction's over, this is the game room. So it's usually full of video games and pool tables, stuff like that. Now the procedure does vary from Thousand Trails to Thousand Trails. In general, they are first come, first serve parks. With that being said, if they're a high-use park, so in a very touristy area or a lot of the ones in Florida, they have the right to reserve or direct you to specific sites. So what that means is they're going to tend to direct the person in the 20-foot travel trailer or even a pop-up to the sites that are smaller, saving room for the check-ins that they have for big Class A's or 45-foot travel trailers. 40 or 45-foot fifth wheels, so that when you get here and you're like when we get here in the Fusion, we aren't left with a site that's 20 foot long and we can't fit into it. So they usually, and I think this park has switched to this procedure. What they do at most of them now is when you pull in, they'll give you a few options of sites available that are suitable for your rig, and then you can pick from those which site, if you have a specific one that you'd prefer to be parked at.
So we're going to follow the arrows back out to the main road, because most of these roads are one way and they go the wrong way from what we need. This is another kind of a tight turn because there is a tree right here as you make your loop around. So this is the only way out of the park also. So you will have to go all through here to get back out. So watch that tree and the fence back there. We're going to take you all the way back out to the main entrance, and then we'll start our tour through here.
So this street is going to be the outside street of A section, which is the first street you come to when you're checking in.
We've had a little washout. We've had a lot of rain, so a lot of the roads are getting washed out right now.
This park is open in the summer 7 days a week, and then in the spring and fall. Then during the winter, I believe it's maybe December through March. They're open weekends only, and during that time period, this bathhouse that we just passed is not open. The only one open is the one in the center of the park and the one back at the building where the office is located. There are 158 campsites at this particular campground.
They're all 50 amp?
Yeah, they're all 30 or 50 amp.
All sewer.
Majority of them are full hookup. I think they do have a couple that don't have sewer. But when I say a couple, I mean a couple. And then they have a lot of cabins throughout the park. Some of the cabins are owned by individuals, so you can buy a cabin and it's yours to come and stay when you please, when the campground's open, of course. They don't have any permanent residents, but you can come on the weekends and stay in your cabin. And then they also have cabins that are for rent. They have 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms. They have cabins with lofts, sleep up to I think 8 people. And they do have cabins that are pet friendly. I looked on the website, it's $10 per pet, a maximum of 2. So, if you have friends that want to come camping with you but don't have a camper, they could certainly come and rent a cabin for the weekend, and even if they had pets, they could bring them along.
If you look towards the left, these are a couple pull-through sites. These are mainly for smaller campers because it is pretty short and not really level. But one thing she did not mention, that all these campsites do have cable TV too.
Yeah, so cable's not included. You do have to pay for cable. You go up to the office and there's a little computer that you navigate yourself. You log in, you put in your site number and how many days you want the cable. I believe it's $6 a day. And then if you want more than 1 day, there's discounts for getting several days at a time. Also, one of the nice things about this campground is there is a lot of shade. There's a ton of trees. That's also a downfall though, because some of the trees are not in the most convenient locations. So I do love the trees. I like the shade. I like the atmosphere, but I do think they could stand to go through and take out some of the trees that are on the corners of sites and on the corners of roads that make it hard when trying to navigate through the park and navigate in and out of your site.
As you can see, it got a little rutted out right here from heavy rain, and we're due some more heavy rain this afternoon. So here's some of the newer cabins that they have installed over here to the left.
Colonial Williamsburg is a very historical area. There's 3 historic areas right here together. You've got Williamsburg, Jamestown, and Yorktown. So if you're into history, or a lot of kids from this area take field trips here coming through school. But if you're not from this area, there's a lot of sightseeing to be done. There's a lot of historical stuff. Colonial Williamsburg is a short drive from this park, and there's different passes that you can buy to tour Colonial Williamsburg. There's like some self-guided tours. You can just walk through Colonial Williamsburg. There's no charge for that, but you can't go into some of the buildings that are included on the tour. And I think you can get like a day pass. We've never been, I've been on field trips with my kids, but we've never been from the campground. But there's also things in this area like there's outlets. There's Busch Gardens.
8 miles down the road.
Yeah, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, which we are like 2 minutes off of Interstate 64, and Busch Gardens is maybe 10 minutes down 64. And then also Water Country USA, which is a Busch Gardens park, is at the next exit, I think, past Busch Gardens, so another short drive from the park. And of course, they have different packages and passes you can get for that. So that's something you check out while you're here. There are coupons in the office for local restaurants. A lot of them have 10% off, or buy one entree, get one half price, or free dessert with the purchase of an entree. There's a lot of Italian restaurants here in town, and a couple of Mexican restaurants, and there is a barbecue restaurant, Pierce's Pit Cooked Barbecue, that's a short drive. They have barbecue, fresh hand-patted burgers, barbecue chicken, barbecue pork, barbecue beef, ribs. So that's something that we enjoy. There is Two Drummers Smokehouse right up the road, which is also another place that we like to frequent.
Here's some of the pull-throughs. This site is B40, so we're going to pull through this site so you can see everything here. It is kind of tight, some trees, but if you like the trees, they're here.
Yeah, the trees are kind of that double-edged sword.
Right in front of us is actually a buddy site, so you can have one pull in forward, one pull in backwards, and you have that whole large site right there. As you can see, nobody's in these two sites right now, so you can see how big it really is.
The trick to the buddy sites too, though, is because it's a first come, first serve.
It might not be your buddy.
You might not be lucky enough to get here with your buddy and get those sites. There are two sets of buddy sites in the park. That one is probably the smaller, but it's the sites are shorter. The space between the two is a much more wide open space. We'll pass the other buddy site later, and I'll be sure to point that out. They are longer sites, so they're better for big rigs, but the space between them is much smaller. So it just depends on what your needs are. Now, as we round this corner, straight ahead is like part of the recreational area. So this is the area where they have the horseshoe pits. Behind that, we'll pick up behind that when we make it through the other side of the park, but they have shuffleboard, mini golf. This is the basketball court. It's also painted for pickleball, but there's no net, so that is what it is. Now we're going to go through B section.
This is one of the lakefront sites, so
yeah. So they do have a water issue here. This area floods, but like Jimmy said, we've had a ton of rain the last couple of days, so
I don't think they charge any extra for these sites.
When we got here, this wasn't flooded at all. There wasn't even any water here.
We should have brought the kayaks.
Yeah.
So on your right again is the buddy sites that we just came through. You can see how big they are.
Yeah, so here's one, and then all the way to here is the second one. So you have all that space in between.
And if it's not your buddy, you know how us campers are.
It could be your buddy by the time you leave.
Yeah, they'll become your buddies by the end of the day, end of the trip. And this is another big site right here.
There's a space between these two sites that's not a site because they change directions mid-street. So there's nice, if you get one of those sites, there's a place to park extra vehicles if you need.
Most of these campsites, they do come with a fire pit and a outdoor grill if you want to grill some.
Like a charcoal grill. This area in front of us is just a big area that you can walk your dog, or you know, the kids can play. Sometimes they will have movie night there. They put a projector up and people can bring towels or blankets and sit out on the ground and watch the movie. So on the left here is the bathhouse that I was talking about that stays open year round. So even when the one on the outer edge of the campground shuts down in the winter, this one stays open, as well as the one in the office.
The good thing about this park in the wintertime is they do have an indoor pool that is heated.
And a jacuzzi or hot tub. Of course that's heated, but it's indoors too. So even in the winter, when in most places in this area you can't swim, when you're here you can swim or use the hot tub because they're both indoors.
Hopefully this year they will be open. Due to COVID right now, they don't know if they're going to be able to open the indoor pool in the wintertime or not yet. Well, here's a couple more pull-throughs to your left, pull-throughs to your right. As you can see, there is some bigger campers in here. So a lot of people say this camper is not big rig friendly. You guys know we have a 45-foot toy hauler. We get into this area quite often. So
the streets, like I said, the streets are sometimes a little narrow and trees make it difficult to navigate. But there are plenty of sites that are long enough for the big rigs. Just might take you a little time to get into your site, that's all.
A little more navigating than others. This is where I usually let Lisa drive and pull on through and back the camper in.
Not so much.
And to the right is a registration. We've already gone down that street for you. So.
We're going to skip a couple streets and go down through an area that has a lot more cabins. There are a couple of campsites, but it's a more heavily populated with cabins. This cabin in front of us is a Getaway Cabin. It's the only one that's going to come with your linens, so you wouldn't have to bring your own. All the other cabins, you're going to have to bring your own sheets, blankets, towels, that kind of thing.
It's a newer cabin too. I think they just put it in like 2 years ago.
This one's a newer one, and it's right beside the playground, which is nice.
We'll go take you down Cabin Row.
So again, a lot of the newer looking cabins have just been replaced in the last couple of years. And this one here is currently being used as the sales office, but they are in the process of revamping the inside of the building where the office is. So the sales office is going to move there. They're updating where the store is. They're completely renovating everything. So there's nothing to show you at this point because it's all still closed, but they will have a nice camping store that has, you know, a few groceries and some camping items. And then they have the sales office, and they will have a members lounge, which, you know, if you just want to go sit somewhere and read a book, but you don't want to sit in your camper all day, that'd be a nice place to go. And then also in that same building is the laundry facility, the check-in office, bathrooms, showers, pool, and hot tub. And then it's right beside the outdoor pool. So it's going to be the bathroom for the pool as well.
Here's your 2 trash cans right by the office and the pool. So it's kind of centrally located to get to the dumpsters.
And there's also a dumpster on the way out right by the dump station. So if you need to use the dump station, maybe you've pulled in off the road and you need to use the dump station, that's where it is as well. Here's the outdoor pool, and there's an outdoor pool and then a small kiddie pool on the other side. And there is an area kind of between the pool and the buildings that is empty right now. On the weekends, they'll put tables and chairs out, and that's where they have music. Before COVID and I guess after COVID, that's where they have music. They'll either have a DJ or sometimes they have live music. It just depends on what's going on, if it's a holiday or whatever. They also have this pavilion here that I didn't mention when we were looking at, that you can use if you were trying to have like a get-together, family reunion, birthday party for your kid or whatever. You can use that if you're a member here at the park. And then
over here to your right I think it's 18 holes, right?
I'm not sure.
I think it's 18 hole miniature golf. It's pretty fun. We've done it a couple times.
And a very large playground. And then over here to the left is a large cabin area. So this area back here is predominantly cabins. There are, again, a couple campsites, but mostly cabins.
Most of these are annual cabins, and they're not for rent.
Yeah, most of these are ones that people own. So up here on your right is going to be the second set of buddy sites. So again, these are very long sites, but not as much space in between the two as you had on the other set of buddy sites.
We parked in that spot to the left a couple times. It's a pretty nice site. It's kind of level.
The good thing about these particular buddy sites is they're right across from the pool, the bathhouse, the hot tub, the office, the member lounge. All that stuff is just a short walk across the street, basically.
We're going to take you through another site that's it's long, but it drops off pretty quick. So if you have a longer camper, you're going to need some stabilization down here in this hole down the bottom. And we're going to take you down here towards the tent site so you can see the tent sites. As you can see, there is a lot of sites that are open down here. Some of them are level, some of them are not so much. As you can see, we would probably have a little bit of troubles getting our camper down this hole.
This is not a desirable area for me.
So if you ever stayed in D33, this is the site right here. So if anybody's ever stayed in D33, comment below.
So we're going to take you through the tent section here. There are a couple, we just passed a freestanding sink. So there are, I think, 2 of those in this section. And, so if you're in the tent, you don't have running water necessarily because you don't have a camper. You can wash your dishes and that kind of stuff.
The one downside about the tent section is the bathrooms. The bathrooms are a pretty good ways away. So you're going to have to hold it all night long.
Or walk over to the office and the bathrooms over there. There is water at the campsites, but of course most people in the tent sites, of course most people in tents don't have bathrooms or anything, but there is going to be water at your site, and there are several picnic tables and grills throughout that area as well. We are going to cut through from the tent sites. There is a pond down here, so we'll drive through past the pond and come up the other side. You can access this area walking or with a golf cart, but you're not going to be able to drive through here. So it's just kind of a shortcut back to E section. So we're going to sneak through here. A lot of weekends, especially holiday weekends, they will have fishing derbies for the kids. So you come down here and there's a couple different areas that you can stand on with the docks that you can fish off of them, or you can fish off the shore. I personally have never been fishing here, so I don't know whether they catch a lot or not, but it's a very large pond. It's really muddy looking right now because, again, we've had a ton of rain the last few days. But they also have some picnic tables down here, so even if you weren't fishing, you just wanted to come sit around the pond and enjoy the view, enjoy some quiet in nature, this is the place to do it.
In case you didn't know, there is no swimming in this pond. I don't think I would want to swim either, but it is a catch and release only pond too, so you have to put back whatever you catch. Now we're going to go up the hill. It's going to be a little bumpy, so we're going to
pick you up on the top side.
We kind of let you back in the back. We try to hide diffusion a little bit back here, so it's kind of quiet, kind of peaceful.
We are in site E14. Behind our site and behind all of these sites on the left is a field, a wide open area. It's a dog walking area. They do have bags there to pick up after your dog. But the downside to the pet areas at this park is that there is no fence. So you still have to keep your dog on leash. There's nowhere really to let them off leash to run and burn off any energy.
My favorite thing about parking at that spot you just saw is we have that whole back field. So we can put the deck down. We can enjoy the length of the 45-foot camper with the deck down. So if you're ever coming here, make sure you save that spot for us. I don't want to see your camper in there now.
We do like this area back here, E section, because it is kind of off from the rest of the park and it's quiet back here. The only downside is, for us anyway, and it's going to depend on your equipment and your rig, the exit to this area is rather steep, and at the bottom of the hill you have to turn. So We can't, or we haven't tried, because we don't want to risk dragging the back of the camper or the nose of the camper hitting the back of the truck. So we park where we park so that we can go back out without having to come out this way. And some of these sites we could still turn and go back out the way we came in. But we're going to take you down the exit, if you will, when we leave here, just so you kind of see what we're talking about.
As you can see, it gets kind of steep and a quick right-hand turn. So there is some people that drag. You can see some of the drag marks. So I would rather not take the chance.
Okay, and then this is another exit. We're going to go back up here, but you'll see how steep the hill is.
I think this one's actually a little steeper. Hold on. So again, it is a quiet area back here. Not a lot of traffic. It's kind of like living in the cul-de-sac. It's just when you leave that it could be a little tricky. And again, that depends on your equipment. So this is one of the dog walking areas, the one directly behind our camper. So you can see how big it is, and it'd be really great if part of it was fenced in so that you could let your dog off leash and let him run and burn off some energy. But at least there is a place that you can take them that's a grassy area. So our number one question that we always get.
Would we come back?
Well, not unfortunately. We come here all the time. So I guess we will be back because this is one of our home parks. So we visit here quite often.
And again, we do like the park. We do like the area. The staff is always super helpful and friendly. The biggest downside to this park is the number of trees. And again, I'm not opposed to trees. I just think that if some of them on the corners of sites and at the corners of intersecting roads could be taken out, or even if they're there, but take off some of the upper branches that stick out.
Scratch a lot coming in.
Scratch the side of your camper. That would be a huge plus. But the park itself is nice. It is tough to navigate, but if you take it slow and pay attention, you can get in and out. They have plenty of large sites, and it's in a great area. I mean, historically, shopping, restaurants, there's a little bit of everything here. So we do like it here.
Make sure you watch for our next featured video on camperreport.com.
And don't forget to subscribe to Camper Report's YouTube channel.
Ring their bell.
Until the next time you find us camping.
Safe travels, y'all.